So we are recording now. So again, my name is Michael Sproles. I'm the Director of Software Sales here at TPM. And what we're going to talk about today is kind of go through some of the changes that Autodesk has made over the last couple years and what the impact is to you, particularly if you have subscription assets or Autodesk assets under maintenance renewal, which is what they now call what used to be called subscription. So with that, let's go ahead and get started in on it. So a couple things to kind of set the table. What we're talking about here today is this move to subscription. So if you've been paying attention to what Autodesk has been doing for the past couple years, you probably noticed that they've made a series of changes, really all leading up to this. A few years ago, they stopped selling upgrades of products. Used to be able to have, if you had an older seat of software, you could upgrade it to the latest version of software. They did away with that. And about a year and a half ago, they stopped selling new perpetual seats of software. So from that point on, the only way you could buy new Autodesk software was to buy it through what they now call subscription, which is a term-based licensing model. So many of you, when you probably heard some of these changes, you were probably one, excited about the change. Some people have said, hey, this is great. We actually like this plan. We like what's happening. Some people were probably a little skeptical of it. They said, you know, there's still some questions that we have. We're not sure how this is going to impact us. And then some people just, frankly, just don't like it at all, right? It's not what you want to do. It's not what you're interested in, which is why we're here today. Before we get into your options at renewal time, though, I do want to kind of explain a little bit about what's going on at Autodesk and why they're making some of these changes. And this really goes down to the fact that we are moving in a lot of different industries to more of a subscription-based marketplace. And a great example is Netflix. Netflix is a company that came out of the gate and they started as a subscription-based company right from the beginning. When you got your first DVD player and you wanted to get DVDs, a lot of people signed up with Netflix and, you know, they sent them DVDs in the mail. And then about 2011, Netflix started making a change where they said, we're going to move from that DVD delivery model to a streaming model, okay? And at that point, there were people that were a little upset about it. But if you flash forward to 2017 or 2018 now, it's the norm. You know, we have things like Netflix and Chill, and, you know, we talk about all the time. Streaming Netflix is standard. So they went through that transition, and it's taken us to where we are today. So along with that, a lot of companies, like I said, across not just our industry, but across multiple industries have gone to this subscription model. These are just a few of the examples out there. But you see people like Microsoft, Citrix, you know, even things like General Motors, and Ford has recently even announced a car sharing subscription model. So this is something that's going on definitely on the IT industry or software industry, but really it's more than that. It's kind of gone beyond that into other industries as well. So Autodesk is just taking that and they're kind of migrating their business to this model like everybody else is. So what does that mean for you? Okay, because one thing that we need to point out is that when they started making this change, they were very clear and said customers still will have a choice. We're not going to make them move if they don't want to move. So we have today two models in place. We have the traditional perpetual model, which if you had software and you had it under maintenance, you can continue renewing that as long as you want. Or you can move to the subscription model. So we're going to walk through that now. So what choices do you have at renewal? Okay, basically you're going to see that there's three choices at renewal. Okay, you can do nothing. You can renew your maintenance, or you can switch to subscription. And I'm going to walk through all three of these options today. Okay, so let's start with the first one. Okay, do nothing. What happens if I do nothing? And that means if you had a maintenance renewal and you said, I'm going to do nothing, I'm not going to renew it, what's happening there? So let's look at that. If you did that, you can continue to use that perpetual license of software. Okay, nothing's going to change with that. You will be able to use it as long as you want. However, it will stay at that version that you stopped renewing it. So if you, for instance, have a renewal up this year and your latest version is 2018, then that will be the version you'll be stuck at. If you choose not to renew, you will not be able to, like I said, get updates. You will not be able to use prior versions. That is a benefit of staying under maintenance. Your ability to get technical support will not be there. You will lose home use rights, global travel rights, and you will lose access to admin tools, whether you're using them or not, that you have available to you now. And if you're using any of the cloud services, like we've got a lot of customers that are using cloud rendering or cloud simulation analysis, you will lose the ability to do that. Most importantly, if you decide that you want to get back on software and you want to get back to the latest version of software, you would have to pay full price for a new subscription. So what is that going to look like? So here's an example today of what that looks like. The the new version of AutoCAD, 2019 version of AutoCAD, if you were to buy it new today, that's $1,470. Okay, that's a new subscription, and that's for 1 year. If you continue renewing your maintenance, that will be about $750. If you move to subscription, and we'll get into more of that pricing here in a minute, you will see an even less expensive price. If you switch this year, that's $570. If you switch next year, it's $600. Okay, so this is part of that. When we get into the switch option, you'll see where this plays into it. Okay, but the point you want to take away here is that the fact that if you were not to renew and 2 or 3 years down the road you wanted to get a new license of software or the latest version software, you would be paying what essentially is a new 1-year subscription to AutoCAD, okay, at $1,470. Okay, so your second option, I can renew my maintenance. Okay, so what happens if you renew your maintenance? So if you renew your maintenance, you will continue to get all the same benefits you've come to enjoy now. As you see here, you'll continue to get access to all the latest software. So when the next version comes out, you'll get it. You'll continue to be able to use prior versions. Right now, if you're under maintenance, you can use the current version and 3 versions prior. You'll continue to receive your home use rights, global travel rights, and access to the administrative tools. Okay, and I don't have it on the slide, but you will continue to be able to use cloud benefits such as the space, as well as some of the tools that they give you access to, like cloud rendering or simulation analysis. Now, that being said, it is important to note that with this change, Autodesk is going to be raising prices. They have already raised maintenance prices 5% currently this year. That was actually back in May of 2017. May of 2018, the price will go up 10%. And then again next year in May of 2019, those prices will go up 20%. So maintenance is going to continue increasing year over year. Okay. Now, what that means is you don't have to move to subscription, and there obviously are going to be some impacts to you depending on when you do it, but you will have the ability to choose when you want to move to subscription based on when that time is right for you. And that's the purpose of what we're doing here today, is trying to give you all the information so you can make that decision based on what's best for my company. Okay. Now, let's talk about the third option, which is switch to subscription. Okay. So if you were to switch to subscription, which is the new term licensing model, you will still get, just like you did under maintenance, you'll get access to the latest software. You'll get access to your prior versions. You'll still be able to do home use. You'll still get global travel rights. And you'll still get access to the admin tools, okay? However, you're going to get additional subscriber benefits as a result. You're going to get greater access. Under subscription, be able to get, if you ordered a new seat of software, you'll be able to get access to that very, very quickly. You can download it and get it installed and managed very, very quickly, as opposed to what we used to have to do under the old perpetual model. You got flexible control. So under some of your management tools, now you can change who's using the software, what kind of access they got. If you have multiple products under your portfolio, you can adjust what products they get access to. And you also get insights. You could be able to see what your users are using, how much they're using it, and when they're using it. Okay? So a couple more things as we look at this switch to subscription. Let's talk about the pricing, of course, because we already mentioned that maintenance pricing is going to go up. Okay? If you decide to switch to subscription, you're going to be able to secure a discounted price of an annual subscription. Okay? Now, when I say discounted price, that means discounted from what a new seat of subscription would cost. Like we saw on the first slide, if you chose not to renew, what the price of AutoCAD was for 1 year, which is $1470, the switch to subscription would give you a discounted price. So if you switch before May 2019, you'll be able to secure discounted pricing for up to 3 years with an annual sub. If you switch after May, you would have to do a multi-year subscription to lock in that price. What that means is when you make the switch, you will have the opportunity to do it for 1 year, and you'd still get to lock in that pricing for multiple years. It would just be 1 year at a time. Or you could actually do a 3-year switch and just do it all at once. Okay? So the point is you'll be able to lock in your price now or whenever you choose to switch to be able to continue to get that discounted pricing after the initial 3 years. And after the 3 years is up, one of the questions is, what happens then? What is the price going to be then? Is Autodesk going to raise the price even more? I will tell you, and Autodesk has committed to this, that if you switch to the subscription under this pricing, as long as you keep renewing, your price will be lower than the maintenance pricing, and it will definitely be far below the cost of a new subscription. So as you see here, that cost to move to subscription will always be less expensive than staying on maintenance or buying new. Okay? So a couple other things, a couple questions that some people ask if they make that switch to subscription is about usage. So I've answered a few of the frequently asked questions here. So the first one is prior versions. Under maintenance, you did have access to prior versions. Under subscription, it's the same thing. You can continue using eligible products and versions. Okay? That means if you had, I'm going to use AutoCAD for an example, AutoCAD 2019, you'd be able to use the 3 prior versions, 2018 or 2017 or 2016 legally. Okay, you would be in compliance. Okay. The other question we have is the software. Well, if I'm buying a term license, where is the software going to be? The software is going to still be where it's always been. It's going to be on your machine. So if you are running AutoCAD or one of the other products like Revit or Civil 3D or something else, and you're running that on your computer, it's still going to run on your computer. You're going to download it, install it on your machine, and it's going to run locally. Any type of cloud applications are still going to run in the cloud. Those are applications like, say, InfoWorks or Collaboration for Revit that have always been cloud and have always run that way. So nothing is changing in terms of where the software is going to reside or where it's going to run. The next big issue is your data. If you're moving to this new subscription model, where's my data? That's going to be up to you. Okay? The data is going to be storable on your local machine, or you can put it on your server, or you could store it on Dropbox if you want. The data is yours, even if you do not renew your subscription. Autodesk does not take control of your data and does not want to. So you can do with whatever you want with it. It is going to remain yours, just like it is today. A couple other questions about internet. Okay, if I'm moving to this term license, do I have to be connected to the internet? Well, the answer is yes, but not constantly. So when you first start the software, you will have to be on the internet so it can check and make sure that this is a legal subscription. And then after that, as long as you're connected at least once every 30 days, you're fine. Okay? And the reason for that is the software will once every 30 days, will ping the Autodesk server and make sure that this is still a renewed seat of subscription. If you ever choose not to renew it, then next time it does that, it will come back and say, no, this one's no good anymore, and it will not run after that point. Use of your old perpetual license. If I make this switch and I've got all these maintenance assets that are perpetual licenses, and I want to make the switch to subscription, what happens to that? You can still use that software until the new subscription switches over. So you'll still be under that perpetual maintenance contract until your renewal date. And then after that, the new subscription contract will take hold of it. But if you had perpetual licenses under maintenance, you'll still be able to continue to use those until you want to make that switch. Okay, that software is not going to go away. If you ever uninstall it, you will not be able to reinstall it though, because once the subscription contract starts, that perpetual software no longer exists in the eyes of Autodesk. It's been basically switched to subscription. Getting started, like I said, your new subscription will start the next day after the maintenance ends. So if your maintenance ends, we'll say February 23rd, then February 24th is when your subscription contract will start. Let's see what other questions you have. Okay, so that's it for most of the frequently asked questions. So we'll kind of wrap up here, but wanted to kind of just summarize with you. You still have three choices when you come up to renewal. Like we said, you could either decide to renew your maintenance contract and continue the way you are there, albeit there are going to be some price changes in there. You can switch to subscription now, or you can do it next year and be able to lock in pricing, better pricing now, and avoid any of those price increases. Or you can do nothing and not renew it at all. Just realize that there are impacts and consequences whichever way you go, and that's why we want to make sure you understand it. So what I would suggest for you to do is contact us. You see our number up there, or contact your sales rep and say, hey, I just saw this. I want to learn more about this switch to subscription. What is the impact for me specifically? We can look at your portfolio and say, hey, here's what you have today. Here's what you could switch it to. Here's the pricing difference. And we actually can run a 3-year scenario for you to say, here's what it's going to look like over the next 3 years for each of your different options. So I encourage you to let us know, give us a call, and ask us those questions. The other one I want to point out, we do have a landing page here. It's go.tpm.com/Autodesk-subscription-plans. And on that landing page, we're going to have information such as what you went over today that you can go to and reference at any time. In fact, once this webinar is over, the recording is going to be saved, and we're going to post it up on that page as well, so you could go back and look at anything too. There's also an FAQ on that page that has a lot more questions that people have had that you may want to look through as well. Okay, now that brings us basically to the end of the webinar today. So I'm going to look and see. We have a couple people out there. I don't see anything in the chat for questions, but I am going to open it up for any questions. So you should be unmuted now. So if there's any questions, feel free to ask away. Excellent. So it sounds like there's no questions so far. So with that, I'll kind of wrap it up. We'll keep it short and sweet. I do appreciate your time today. If you do think of any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. Again, you can call us at the number there, or you could call us at call your sales rep. And I do encourage you, if you can, write down that website. Go to that web page. It's got a lot of information on it, and it will give you some ideas of how to reach us. So with that, I'm going to say thank you, and hope you got something out of this today, and we look forward to talking to you later. So with that, that's it. Thank you, everybody, and goodbye.